Virtual coins, real risks. The only guarantee in crypto is the risk. Beware. Everything discussed in this podcast is solely for entertainment purposes and should not be considered financial, investment, or any other form of professional advice. Bitcoin is a permissionless, secure, decentralized piece of code. The only guarantee with Euro savings is a loss of purchasing power. Listening to a podcast consumes electricity.
Hi there, dear listeners. This is the Alles voor Bitcoin podcast, or the Always Value Bitcoin podcast. The voice of the Belgian Bitcoiners. One Bitcoin currently stands at 58,921 US dollars or 53,024 euros, and that's about 10,821 Big Macs. Yes, we follow the Big Mac index to calculate the purchasing power of one Bitcoin in Europe. I'll do this podcast in English. Yes, my English is not native. I'm not a native English speaker, but I see so many YouTubers and so many podcasters doing their best to bring the content in English, that I'll join the ranks because, as I said in the last episode, or the previous episode, I've doing this for 2.5 years in Dutch. And, I think we should let our voice be heard outside of Belgium as well. Because the situation in Europe might be dire on a lot of fronts. And I don't think that's always something that's known outside of Europe, or at least not really a subject in many podcasts. We hear many of the same voices over and over and over again. The guests at some podcasts are so usual that we heard them a lot and we know their story by now, but the real situation in, for example, Belgium or Germany or France is not always known. I don't speak for those countries. Those countries have podcasters enough so they can relate to their own problems and their own local tax and whatever situation or political issues. But what we do here is let the voice be heard of Belgian Bitcoiners outside of Belgium as well, because we want to point out some issues. And today we have one general issue, which is not related to Belgium itself, but sometimes it is, sometimes not, and that's the cycle and the role of some shitcoin projects on the Bitcoin ecosystem and the lots. And then the second part of this episode will be about the 21 or 21 initiative. So let's start talking about the cycle we're currently in. Some say it's a bull market, other ones say it's a sort of fake out sideways bull market, whatever. Or some even say that it won't continue as planned, or this time it's different. We hear all kinds of different views on that. In general, we don't know the future. We cannot know for sure what will happen next week, next month, next 2 years. So I'm not going to occupy myself with that. What I do know, and that I really want to share, is that a lot of things have changed. And I don't know the future, but I do know what's currently going on. And I know a few people from the early days of Bitcoin. I know a few people that turned shitcoiner by now. And there's a lot of things going on in the background that people really don't know. So let's shine a light on that, because I don't have any sponsors or any advertisers that I can, make unhappy. So let's talk about that. First off, many people think that this cycle will go on like the last cycles, 2015 and then the 2017 and so on cycles. Now, these cycles were notorious for the first cycle for introducing shitcoins. Then the whole Ethereum ecosystem, so to speak, came to fruition. And afterwards, all kinds of thousands of tokens and other garbage came to be. On top of that, we have the Web3 and the DeFi and all the marketing stuff that was thrown on top of that. So we know as a Bitcoiner that on the other side of the spectrum, there are people trading all these, altcoins, to say the least, or to stay friendly. Now, what they usually have in mind is that these coins go up in value a lot faster and a lot of times higher than Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does, let's say, 3x, then their shitcoin goes 3000x, for example. This was usually true in certainly the second cycle, and it is true if you pick the, let's say, quote-unquote right projects. Now, I want to state something. The people who earned a lot of money, really a lot of money, in the first two cycles are not gone. They have a lot of money and they are either dead or in jail, but the ones still standing are having really the funds and really the capacity and the developers to develop whatever system they want. If they want to develop a decentralized exchange, they do it. If they want to develop an own protocol or a fork of Ethereum or whatever they want to create, they end up making it and they create it. And they can weave around that whole system a nice marketing gimmick. And they do throw a lot of money against that marketing, and they have splendid websites, they have marketing teams, they go outside, they teach people about their shitcoins, they really have good selling power because that's their bread and butter. If they don't sell their garbage, then they end up in the gutter because it's all fake, it has no monetary value whatsoever, and it has just invented capital that's being thrown in there. Now, what I want to make clear here is that you're playing a whole different ball game than in 2017, for example, or than in 2015. Because now you're not up against people who lucked into some project that had a little success, or not the idealists that invented a blockchain for all their purposes that they wanted to create it for. Now you're up against people who are ruthless sharks that are absolutely out to get your money, to scam you, to rug pull you, and to get out of it in time. Because they had already training in the former 3 cycles, or 2 cycles, whatever, how long they are in it. You are not playing against some coder in his basement anymore. You're not playing against 3 guys pulling together some funds to start their own blockchain projects and do some marketing. You are going up against real professionals. They have real companies. They have a lot of marketing power and a lot of funds and a lot of liquidity waiting for this bull market. So they are depending on the timing of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is their clock. Like all of us actually is Bitcoin our clock. But the clock is ticking and they see like, okay, there's probably a bull market coming. We cannot predict the future, but they try. And we try all as well, to be honest, to predict that. And we say like, okay, Bitcoin will go up, so Ethereum will go up as well, so the whole market will go up, and we will all go up against Bitcoin, against Ethereum. And if we pump our token, if we pump our shitcoin harder, then we will get in the spotlight and we will be in front of this bull market, and we will also have our pre-mined whatever garbage they have to sell. So they pre-mine some thousands or millions or hundreds of millions of tokens, put it with some nice marketing into the market, and they pump it. On every exchange, you will see ads of these guys. On every, let's say, Twitter account or every Telegram group you're in to get real nice tips on good projects and whatever, they will bombard you with this stuff. And you will fail if you are a small fish, if you are someone who will throw in, let's say, 1,000 euros to say like, oh, I will buy a token XYZ, or I will have some 5 tokens to spread out evenly to have some diversification, which is garbage, of course, but okay. If you try to diversify in shit, you will get shit. So, but okay, the lucky ones will pick out a good project. Let's say coin XYZ2 will do a 20x or let's say 200x. So from that 200 euros that you pour in, you get 40,000 euros back. That's nice. What will you do? because that virtual value is in some shitcoin DeFi exchange stuff, or in a liquidity bridge, or in a liquidity pool, or whatever it is. What do? You cannot pay with that, you cannot cash out, so you have to go somewhere. Now, that's the problem in this cycle. You are up against the big fish. You are up against people who control this market. They will either rug pull you outright, which is the worst case, then you lose everything, or you will try to, be smarter and get out of it on time. But you will do that along with everyone else and their mother, all at the same time. Because if one big DeFi project, let's say one of those projects really goes berserk and really tops the charts and even almost flips Ethereum or even Bitcoin, whatever it is, and it will really, really skyrocket. What will happen is the same thing that happened to all these other failed projects. It will go down because it has no monetary value. It has probably admin keys or a centralized key somewhere. It will go down. Like yesterday even, there was some L bridge to USD on a shitcoin. I'm not gonna name which one it is. And they went down and they took all liquidity with it because they were hacked. And soon after they said like, yeah, our project is dead. And like 200 million or whatever it was went up in smoke on that. It will happen, but on a bigger scale this cycle. Because you are up against professionals now. You are up against people who can throw 200 million just like that against the project. And you will lose with your 1,000 euros or whatever you throw in there. So, where do they, big ones, cash out to? What do you think? Do they buy Doge? No. Do they buy their own stupid token? No. They will cash out to something stable, to hard money. And they will either go to Bitcoin, a lot of them do, because they were Bitcoiners once and they know damn sure it's worth a lot. Or they will cash out to some stable coin, USDC, USDT, whatever it is, and go from there to whatever they want in fiat. In any case, you as a small fish will be fried. You will be totally lost this cycle. This cycle, I would strongly recommend to not touch shitcoins. Not that there is no profit to be made. There is always profit to be made somewhere, and there is always profit to be made certainly in shitcoins because they go up a lot. That's their whole raison d'etre. If you go in there, you are in a minefield, but this time it's not just a minefield. The ones that laid out the mines know exactly where they are. They put them there themselves, and they control the whole area. They control how you go in, they control where you dance, they control which one will explode and which one will later explode, and they will even control your dance moves. So you dance in a minefield, and you're on a string. You're on a string of someone who plays with you, with marketing, with all kinds of information that they bombard you with. Be careful out there, because if you play that game, I guarantee you, a lot of people, I say the majority of the people, let's say 70 to 80% will get totally wrecked on that. In the end, mathematics play a role here. If you go into shitcoins and it goes up a lot, that's fine for you. And if you can pull it out on time and you put your money somewhere else, like let's say in Bitcoin, that's also fine. And then you're ahead of the curve. But that's a very risky game. The guy that just stayed in Bitcoin and waited didn't see his coin go up maybe 100-fold. We don't know the future, but we can safely say that Bitcoin will not do, let's say, 100x in a month. It can happen in theory, but yeah, probably not. But if it does, fine. But all these shitcoin projects will cash out, the majority will cash out to Bitcoin. That's an enormous amount of fiat or, let's say, dodgy money that's going currently around in the liquidity on shitcoin projects that will flow to Bitcoin at some point. If you are in Bitcoin and you just sit on that Bitcoin, you profit from all that movement without the risk. They can wreck each other into oblivion. They can wreck each other for a year, and some will cry and some will really, really go total bust. And you are sitting on your Bitcoin and it will go up because the winners of that game will go to Bitcoin anyway. And if they don't, even a large portion of those guys will go to Bitcoin anyway, and your price will go up without the big risk. Of course, it's fun to buy a shitcoin and see it go up 100-fold. Of course, that's fun. But hey, the risk you take is just too much. This cycle, believe me, is different. You are up against big boys. You are up against people who control the market. They even have their own podcasts, their own ecosystems, their own whole universe, actually. And they control that narrative there. I've seen projects launch like a month or two ago, where I was in some, let's say, secret chat. It's not that secret. There were like 100 people in there, but okay. And they were talking about that. Like, okay, how are we going to profit from this? And when will we start pulling out our own money? Those guys are, let's say, borderline criminals. They are setting up a scheme to set you up for failure. And the more marketing you see, the more advertisement you see for these kinds of projects that are not Bitcoin, the more you will get lured in to say like, oh, this coin went up 50 times, oh, and it's going up 100 times more. This guy said, oh, let's buy some, I want to profit from this. That's fine, that's greed. We all have greed. And if you really are greedy, well, just buy Bitcoin. It's scarce, it's provably scarce, and you have less risk because there isn't a whole universe of shitcoins built on top of it. And not even that, even if it would be, it is a monetary safe space to stay. If you are greedy, all those shitcoin projects, the winners of those battles, the winners who come out of that minefield will go to Bitcoin anyway, or at least a large portion of that. One guy who was talking to me online in some group said, oh, you missed out on this project. Don't you need a tissue because it's you are going to cry because our coin went up 50% in the last week while your Bitcoin went down like 5% or whatever it was. And I screenshotted that message from him, and I told him like, yes, this is at the moment, if you put in $10,000 in your project and then $10,000 in Bitcoin, and I named a few other related projects, and we will see what the value is, let's say in a half a year, in a year, and in 3 years. And we will see who will cry in a tissue back then, because you are going to get wrecked. And of course, you are going up 50% now, that's fine. And if the smart people will take out their principal when they do that gambling and put that back into Bitcoin or into USD. But most of them are too greedy and will not do that. They will not safeguard their principal. They will get reckless and they will get wrecked. So that's my insight on that. This cycle is different, believe me. I know a few people that are into these games on a whole other level, and you are not playing like in a casino. You play against the house, and the house always wins. But these guys don't only own the casino; they own the chips, and they own the air you're breathing, and they own the marketing for the casino, and they even own your shoes, actually. So, no, you will not win. Enough about that. Let's talk about another subject, 21 or einundzwanzig. We need a bit of a history lesson on that. First of all, before I begin, Gigi is a sort of Bitcoin philosopher and someone who we all love. I even translated one of his chapters from his book, Bitcoin is Time. I translated it to Dutch because I really liked that part. But I have enormous respect for the guy. And one of the projects he started, or ideas he started, was einundzwanzig. So the goal of that was to create a culture of, let's say, local meetups where Bitcoiners could meet and connect and exchange ideas and, well, form a better community in essence. Unfortunately, this was first started in Germany, hence the name einundzwanzig, which means 21, of course. And unfortunately, this was a well-intended plan, and it's now, facing some problems, in my opinion. And I wanted to vent that opinion because it has some real-life consequences. So the practical implementation of this was that there were local groups coming together under the name 21. So let's say if you're in a city like, Ghent in Belgium, then you could say like, oh, we don't have a meetup here, so I will start one and I will call it 21 Ghent. And then people can come together to talk about Bitcoin there. And it's actually, very easy to come into, and it's not that difficult to find it, so on. But the lack of any form of moderation or quality control on that within these groups means that literally anyone can start such a group or profile and get themselves to, be called a member, between brackets, member of the 21 community. So if I don't, let's say I'm a shitcoiner and I dabbled in some Ripple or whatever it was, and I got wrecked, or I sold at the wrong time, and I'm also a bit interested in Bitcoin and crypto in general, but I don't know much about it anyway. So I go to a local 21 meetup, and all of a sudden I can slap this sticker on my forehead, so to speak, or buy a t-shirt with 21 on it and say, I'm a Bitcoiner. Now, this triggers a whole other series of problems. So this well-meant initiative spawns a lot of, let's say, shenanigans. Members of such groups can tell the biggest nonsense about Bitcoin, talk about shitcoins, selling t-shirts, or steal designs, or have their very limited knowledge exposed, or even give new people incorrect information. And this also leads to people getting to know the Bitcoin community in a wrong way, because it's not actually a Bitcoin community anymore. I must say this is the case outside of German-speaking areas, because the people I spoke to about einundzwanzig, as soon as they are from Germany itself, it's okay. I think also they have some sort of membership fee you have to pay, or at least some sort of entry point that you have to pass through. So they are having a vetting system. They have some sort of way of manipulating moderating it, and so as soon as you are, let's say, in German-speaking Switzerland, or Germany itself, of course, Austria, then you're fine. These groups are usually really okay and full of real Bitcoiners with a local community. So my criticism is absolutely not aimed at the German-speaking einundzwanzig groups. It's more aimed at all those who, let's say, put on the hat of a 21 member and play like they are talking for all the Bitcoin community. And that's usually happening outside of Germany. I also hear that there were some Italians that were really great. I never met them, so let's not account to that. But outside of Germany, usually it's not that pleasant. So these 21 groups, the problem is not in the concept itself, but in the implementation and the lack of self-regulation and backbone. If you don't self-regulate as such an open group, because anyone can walk in and say, hey, I'm a member now. If you don't have a self-regulating body or group, then it will soon, just be some bar where people talk about shitcoins and politics. So it's in the current form a bit sad to see that a lot of people even contribute to a system that's actually not helping the Bitcoin community at all, in my opinion. And a brand itself would normally shy away from this, but within the Bitcoin community, we reached a point where those who proclaim themselves to be 21 members or 21, let's say, leaders, usually do not make a real contribution. It has more become, a free-for-all worthless brand where one can proclaim themselves whatever they want, and usually it's also revolving about their own ego and their own small projects, and in some cases even the shitcoins they dabble into. So in essence, I really hate to see that the people misusing another one's brand or misusing a community for their own gain. Let's say if you are lonely and you want to talk to some people because you really feel lonely, then please find yourself a nice, let's say, volleyball club, or go to a sporting event and try to meet people, or go to a bar, or go to any hobby. Learn a new hobby. For example, if you want to bind books and learn to work with, let's say, furniture making appliances, or whatever you want to do, you will find and connect with people, and you will probably feel less lonely because you can make friends or work together on something, or work in a community garden, or do some voluntary work wherever, and you will meet like-minded people probably, and you can go to bars with them and talk about politics and whatever you want to do. There's a lot of cures for your loneliness, and I'm not a specialist on that, so find your way, read some books about it, or do whatever you like, but stay away from the Bitcoin communities, because if you are just lonely and want to connect with other Bitcoiners, that's cool. If you're a Bitcoiner yourself, you're more than welcome. But if you're actually not a Bitcoiner and just sit there being part of the furniture and say like, not your keys, not your coins once in a while, that's that's like a parrot. Like, if we want a parrot, we will buy one. But you're not contributing anything, and you're just sitting there, and when someone needs to chip in or help out on a project or do whatever, they are usually not there anymore. They are just part of the furniture. So that's not the worst part, because those people don't do much damage other than being dead weight. But there are other people, and that's more of a problem, I think, that loudly proclaim that they are part of 21, and they will claim whatever to come across as sort of leader or spokesman for a whole community, while they are clearly not. These people are usually people who came in around 2020, 2021, and they are now wearing 21 t-shirts and say like, oh yes, I come to this conference and I had free tickets. And what are you doing? You are just like a conduit to get free tickets, because that's also something that really annoys me. When there's a conference, those organizers of conferences don't always necessarily know the Bitcoin space as such, and certainly not the local communities. So if someone shows up and just says like, hi, I am, let's say, Kim de Vos of the 21 organization in Belgium, and can I have some free tickets, or can I speak at your conference, or I'm really good with people and I know everyone in the community, and then they get some free tickets because that organizer thinks, okay, if I give that person 10 tickets, he will probably bring some friends and some extra marketing with it, so maybe 20 people will pay and 10 will go in for free. That's what they think. And to them, it's just marketing. So here you go, you have your 10 tickets or whatever it is, and they go on. At the same time, you are actually acting like a total parasite because you are not part of the community. You are not contributing anything. You are there for your own ego, for your own brand, and to be honest, for your own enrichment. And that's actually what shitcoiners and scammers do. So go fuck yourself, really. I hate those people, really. I hate those people. If you slap on the sticker of 21 or einundzwanzig outside of Germany, outside of Austria and Switzerland, and you claim to speak for the community, then at least have the community behind you. If like 100 people in your local city think you're a great spokesman for them, that's fine. And you will know if they all think about that and say that to you. You will notice. You will notice if like 100 people, real life people you really met face to face, are really behind you. For example, if you organize local meetups, and you make it happen and you do something for them, you get great guests, you get great presentations there, you organize a trip to wherever for the people, they will know that you are the de facto leader. They will know that you are their guy. You will know that. And then you can safely say, yes, I speak on behalf or more or less about all the Bitcoiners in my city. And yes, it's not necessarily true that you speak for 100% of those people, but you have some clout to go around with. That's something else if you just walk in and claim that space and just climb up the totem pole on top and say like, I'm the man, I speak on your behalf. No, you are not. You are just a dude or just a girl that puts on a hat and say, I am 21 and I speak on your behalf. And that happens with groups where you have no vetting system, where you have no self-regulation, where you have no one standing up with a spine to say and to call out those fakers. And if you do, you get a healthier community. If you point out to a faker like, dude, you never did anything for our community, or hey, you girl, you just sit here and be part of the furniture and shut up now. Because they don't have any right to speak on anyone's behalf. First, earn your stripes. First, do something for the community, or try to do something for the community, or know your place. If you're a new person and just want to learn about Bitcoin, that's fine. But don't climb up the totem pole and say like, I'm your leader. No, then you're a noob. Then you're someone who tries to learn. That's fine. That's great. And you will be elevated really quickly if you actively involve yourself and learn. So there's nothing wrong with new people in the einundzwanzig community. Absolutely not. The more, the merrier. But know your place. Because if I'm somewhere new, if I go to, let's say, a local sporting club, and I know nothing about the sport itself, let's say it's squashing, okay, and I know nothing about squash, and I go there and I'm not gonna walk in like in full outfit with the most expensive squash rocket, and I don't go telling everyone like, yes, I'm the champion of Belgium and I'm really good and I speak on your behalf. It's total bullshit. Who does that? No one. So I don't know how it came to be in the 21 space that some people, climb on tables and say that they are something bigger than they are. It's just a local community where you can join freely, act like it. And I want to stress that this does active damage. There are some groups that, for example, in the Netherlands, in Belgium, I'm sure in France as well, on a local level, that purely exist to have some 21 branding. But if you hear them talk in private, or if you hear them talk and they don't know that you're a real Bitcoiner, it would be the same as if you joined, let's say, a Cardano crew or something. It's just shitcoinery. So can we have some form of decency, please? There is nothing wrong if you're a shitcoiner. Go find your own community, please. And I think that's going on. Some people are trading and doing shenanigans next to Bitcoin, don't know that much about it. And the only, let's say, guidance they have and local community they can find is the Bitcoin community. So they try to find other dirt diggers in those local communities of the Bitcoiners to, well, find each other that way. While I don't think there are really communities that actively do shitcoinery. And if there are, I don't know them. So good luck with that. Join them, or set it up yourself. If you are really a shitcoiner, there is nothing holding you back from saying, let's say in Antwerp, you do a shitcoin conference or a shitcoin meetup. That's fine. If you want to do, let's say, a Solana Saturday meetup somewhere in a bar, do it. But stay away from the Bitcoin community, please. Find your own spot, find your own people, get wrecked together, and, well, drink a lot of coffee and beer and be fine. But stay away from the 21 community, please, because the next shitcoiner I see in such meetups, I will call out publicly, whoever it is. Because stay away and do your own thing. And that's fine as well. I will not bother you in your community either. I will not go to, let's say, a Dogecoin meetup. And I will not go there and say like, oh, do you know that Bitcoin is actually much better? No, I will stay away there. I will stay away. And I will not claim to be a Dogecoin millionaire or whatever. Like, come on, stay away, please. So the 21 community needs some cleanup. And I think the communities themselves can do that. And it's rather easy. First of all, most of those people cannot even pay in Bitcoin because they don't know how it actually works. They don't have a Lightning wallet either, or they don't have any deeper technical knowledge or even mid-level technical knowledge. And not everyone needs that, of course. You're not needing to be a tech people. You don't need to be techie to be a Bitcoiner, of course. But if you, well, if you're just there to be part of the furniture and talk about shitcoins, stay the fuck away, please. So yeah, sorry for my language, but I'm really angry about that because it destroys our community from within. I've seen this happen, and I still see it happen, and it's sad to see. And I'm sure that there are other 21 communities around the world that see the same thing. And it's sad, actually. It's a good initiative. And in Germany, it works. So maybe we can copy some things that they do in Germany because they're doing it the right way, it seems. And another thing I saw was even like the local websites to organize the meetups, they copy some work from a German guy, they slap another language on there, and then they, well, use it like that, but it doesn't work. And if you complain about it, like, oh, this doesn't work right, they are like totally lost and they don't fix it because they don't know, they don't do anything. But it's strange. But the same people are like first in line when there are free things to be given away to the Bitcoin community. And then they say, oh, I'm from 21, please give me some let's say free seat signer or free stickers or free tickets or t-shirts or whatever. So it's a bit sad to see, and I will call them out, and I want to activate more people to rise up against that and just call them out, point them out, call them out. Because if we clean up our community, yes, we will be with less people initially, but we will maybe attract new people. And if those new people walk in, they will not be confronted with people trying to shill them whatever shitcoin. And yes, that happened before my very eyes a few times now. I've also seen some people just being part of the furniture a lot of times, armchair philosophers, okay, and fake Bitcoiners and people who climb the totem pole too often and too early. So yes, it's difficult. It's very difficult to have a good community, a healthy community, without a clear leader and with a sort of self-regulation and consensus. That's very difficult. So it's marvelous to do this. If we can make this happen, and if the einundzwanzig community gets some more self-regulation in it, it would be awesome. So don't let this project die because of the parasites that are in there. If a system stops fighting against its parasites, it will die. So do that. All right, so that's about it. And another thing I wanted to tell about that, their Gigi is really cool. No criticism whatsoever to the person who started this. On the contrary, I'm trying to make it better by pointing out some critical points here. So I'm not burying the brand, or I'm not pointing out like, oh, don't use it. No, clean it up, make it better, and not turn away from it. That's about it for today. Always Value Bitcoin will continue in English for the most part. Now and then I will make an episode in Dutch, but I'm trying something new because I think it's necessary to make our voices heard. And if I do that in Dutch only, it will get lost for the majority of the time. So yes, I'm trying something new. Our homepage is allesvoorbitcoin.be or alwaysvaluebitcoin.com. The links are in the show notes. And for now, I say bye-bye until the next one.